All right, what's up, everyone? This is a segment we had to do. It's called Building a Media Ministry. And I'm excited for this because we're going to pull out some key ingredients that it took to build the ministry that we have, that he runs, him and his wife and the team, our media ministry at our church, Victory Outreach East Las Vegas. And man, I'm excited. This video is for someone who just took on the challenge to run a media team. Maybe you don't know a lot and you're just like, yo, what do I do? Right? You got little skills, but that's it. But there's a whole nother aspect of leadership you got to tap into. And so that, and maybe you hit a plateau in your ministry and you're like, what's next? What's next? And so we're just going to we're going to cover that, talk about it. I'm going to introduce you to our guest. He's not a stranger to me, but maybe to you he is. Tell him who you are.
Yeah, well, my name's Jonathan. I'm 26 years old, and like Brian said, I currently oversee the media ministry at our church, Victory Outreach East Las Vegas, alongside my wife. And yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a long time right now.
Yeah. So tell him, at what age did you take over the youth ministry, or not the youth ministry, the media ministry?
I think I was about 16 or 17.
So you were still in high school.
I was still in high school. Yeah, I think it was either my junior year and senior year. Yeah, I was still in high school.
Do you remember the conversation like that? You know, whoever it was shared with you, like, hey, this is the goal. This is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it was actually Pastor. I was driving with him, and I was just talking about like the media ministry, you know, stuff that I wanted to do. I was asking him like what stuff, you know, what would he like to see more, and he didn't say it directly, but it was like I don't know, because he didn't say like, hey, you're gonna be over it, I'm gonna have you do it. It was just a conversation, but from then on, I kind of just became the person.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you didn't get, like, inaugurated?
No, I wasn't like that, yeah.
Dang, okay, so that happens. You kind of understand, like, you know what? I think I'm going to be the guy taking this over. What was your first thought when you realized, okay, I'm going to take this? Because at the time, it was only, what, like 5 people, 4 people?
Yeah, at the time, it was just me, one other person, I guess 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was 2016, 15?
2016, yeah.
Okay, so that's almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So 9 years ago, you're 16 years old, got this big old ministry. What's your first thought when the pastor tells you, hey, I think you might be the guy?
I think the first thing was kind of like evaluating where we're at first. So how many people we have on the team right now? Okay, it's 5 people. What are our strengths? Like, what do we know how to do? And at the time, we didn't have much. So it was just learning Pro Presenter, putting the lyrics up, making flyers for events. And I think at the time, I was learning how to make recap videos. So I think every service, every event, it was like, we need a recap video. So I think that was like the first thing. So it was kind of just teaching people first the skill on like how to do stuff. Because I guess it was just me making everything first.
Dang. What software did you use to make the recap videos?
I started off in Final Cut Pro.
Dang.
Final Cut Pro, yeah.
That's the garage band of editing, if you're wondering. All right, so there's 5 of you. You're the guy now, and you said you analyze. So I say step 1 is analyze what do you have, right? So if you want to build a ministry, a media ministry, exactly is realize what you have, and then. So, do you remember like where you kind of caught a stride in the media team? Like, okay, I got my flow, or how was that first year?
I think it really was a lot of teaching and learning, because at the same time I was still learning. You know, I didn't really know a lot. So it was teaching and learning. I think one of the biggest things was just meeting weekly to have like little media trainings or stuff like that. It was just getting us together and like, okay, let's just learn how to make a flyer first, you know. And it was that first year that we had to be consistent in that, how to make a flyer, how to do this, and it was just every week, just meeting every week for a couple months, and I think that's what really helped a lot.
Yeah, and so in Summerlin, our church, we had we didn't have an LED screen. No. We had a projector and 3 TVs hanging up in the sanctuary. Yeah, and so I remember you have to go and. How would you put this TVs, the images on the TVs? How'd you do that?
It was ProPresenter. So it would just turn the remote, turn them on, and then use ProPresenter in the back, and then just put an image up.
That's tight. Okay, so boom, you're running that. You're just kind of getting it going. When we moved to our current building, which is in Summerlin, or not in Summerlin, in East Las Vegas, it's bigger, right? Then we finally buy an LED screen.
Yeah.
Then we're talking about cameras. Because I don't know, were we live streaming? Were you recording our videos? In Summerlin?
In Summerlin, we were live streaming, but it wasn't all that. It was like just the camera that we had. I don't even know when we got it. It was already there.
Oh, yeah.
And I just used that camera. I just used it. I was like, we have a camera. Let me try, to live stream. And it wasn't all that. It was literally just a camera sitting there and kind of just filming the service.
Yeah, that's tight. So boom, we go to our new building. It's a lot bigger. We get an LED screen. How do you kind of know how many people we had at the time on your team?
I think when we moved, it was about I think during those couple years it jumped. It was us 4, then 5, and then 6, and then I think at that time it kept like just staying around that number. So when we moved into there, I was looking at the pictures. It was just like 5 of us still. Yeah. Yeah.
So how'd you break? Because just so you guys know, right now the team is at 30.
Yeah, 30. 30
people strong on the media team, on the production team. So you had a little itty bitty 5, right? And then, so how did you recruit people? What was your, what was your pitch, or what did you use to get people involved?
Yeah, I think it took a lot of learning. And one of the biggest things that I had to learn was don't just maintain, right? Don't just maintain the ministry. Learn how to build. So it was always the language. So like, how do you build your ministry? You don't want to be the same guy doing the same, say lyrics for 30 years. You want to get people under you. You want to get people to help you as well. So that was always the language. So every time we had like a leadership meeting with pastor, or even with Brian, it was always like building your ministry. Like, how can we get people in there? And I think when we moved, it was like, okay, I need to build. Like, we're in a bigger building. It can't just be the same 5 people anymore. I was like, what did someone do to me to get me to join? And it was just, hey, do you want to join? It was super simple. It was nothing complicated. It wasn't a formula. It wasn't like tricking people, getting them in there. It was literally just someone coming up to me and saying, hey, do you want to join the media ministry? And I was like, okay, and I joined. So I did the same thing. So I would find people that didn't, that were new, they didn't have a place, they were kind of just checking it out. And I'd be like, hey, do you want to, come take a look, see what's going on? And that's what I would just do. I would just go up to people and tell them, like, hey, do you want to join?
Did you have what was your recruitment profile to recruit someone? Like, what did they need? What was something you was just looking for?
I mean, the biggest thing is like, we always think like, do they have the skill? Like, let me find someone that has a skill, someone that has it all together. But it's never like that. You're never gonna find the perfect person, Yeah. So it was always just finding someone that was willing to learn. Because that was me. I was willing to learn. I didn't know nothing about computers. I didn't know how to make anything. I learned, So when I came, I learned. So it was the same thing. I'm like, they don't have to know anything. I'm like, if they're willing to learn, let's bring them on.
Dang. So, for example, we're at 30, right? How many of those people on the team were one of those type of people where they grew into it? Like, how many, and how many actually knew what they were doing from the jump?
Okay, I think honestly only one came from that kind of background. Dang. Like, they were in school, they're in college, and they're learning, they're actually learning graphic design from a teacher, from a school,
Wow.
So everyone on the team, if I go down the list, I think nobody really knew or was tech savvy like that.
Dang, that's crazy. So I was thinking about, as far as leadership, right? You as a leader, building a ministry, what are like 2 things you have to have no matter what, being the leader of a ministry? You could be leading any other ministry, no matter. What are 2 qualities you have to have as a leader in order to be an effective builder?
I think the one right off the bat is remaining teachable. Remaining teachable. I think that's one of the keys, is like, if you remain teachable, if you're willing to learn, willing to have people impart into you, I think that's one of the biggest things.
That's good. You got another one, like a golden
Another
rule?
one is, I guess
Because obviously talent is not one of them.
Talent is not one of them.
You don't really need talent to be a great leader, right?
Yeah, I would say, I guess like learning how to apply.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that falls in the same thing as being teachable.
You know what? As I think about, because I've been able to, see you operate in the ministry, even join at one time and get out. But I think one thing that you have that is a great quality every leader should have is the ability to burn the midnight oil.
Yeah.
What that means is the ability to stay extra late, to get up early, to spend the extra time, spend the extra money, to do all those things. And how important is that in your own ministry? Because there's a lot of gray areas when it comes to leadership. So how important is it to have that spirit of like, man, I'm willing to do whatever I got to do? How is that important?
I think that what you said is one of the biggest keys, because it taught me how to carry the weight. It taught me how to carry the weight alongside my pastors. Because our pastors, they started in their living room. With not a building, not a full worship team. They started in their living room. So at the same time, like I had to learn how to like work hand in hand with them. And if things were getting like we needed to get something done, then it was in me to get that thing done, see it through. I remember when we first moved into the building, we had to set up we bought a bunch of new lighting, and I didn't know nothing about lighting because we didn't have that in our old building. So it was me and two other people. We stayed at the church till I think for the first week, every day till like 2 a.m.
Dang.
Just setting up the lighting, and it wasn't because we didn't buy like big old soundboard and everything. We had to like manually wire every single light, and connect them and everything. And it was learning that, so it was for a whole week, every day staying until like 2, 3 a.m.
How important is it to have your pastor's heart building your media ministry?
I think that's one of the biggest things you need, because it's, that's our pastor, our leader. He brings the vision. And when it comes to like overseeing a ministry, any ministry, is you have to have your pastor's heart. Like if your pastor is saying like we're moving in this direction, and you don't feel that same weight, you don't have that same burden, you're kind of holding the church back from growing, even the ministry back from growing, because you're kind of pushing against what our pastor is saying.
Dang, that's good. I remember our pastor. I love our pastor, man, because he's a great leader. He doesn't just point the way or just say things. He actually gets involved in ministries and, hey, what do we got to do? How can we grow it? And there was a season where his hand was in the media ministry, calling, meeting, texting, investing, right, sharing. And I think one of the coolest things he shared is 3 I's of media, which is image, importance, and impact.
Yep.
Right? The image. How do you look on your social media platform? How do you look on YouTube? How do you look? The image, the quality. Importance. The importance of that picture or the importance of that event. Let's say there's Easter, for example, or baptisms. That's an important event. So you as a media director have to capture that and make sure you capture the importance. Someone just got saved, right? And then there's the impact. Always keep an impact in mind. Don't just post just to post, right? But posting with impact in mind. Does this video, does this picture impact the viewer, right? So our pastor said that. Yeah. And so how did you take those 3 I's, right, and say, man, how did you like hammer that into the values of the team?
Yeah, I remember that was like the biggest thing, because like you said, like we can't just post just to post or just to get the job done. It's like, is this bringing value? Is this showcasing what God is doing in our building? So it would take constant talking about it with the team. So like after service, or even at the beginning of service, it would be like, hey, remember, these are this is what we have to take pictures of. Altar call. We see everybody. We see faces. We don't want our social media to just be like a bulletin board and just flyers. I remember you told me it's like people want to see people. That's another thing. Like, do we have friendly faces? So it was always just telling the team before and after service, reminding them like, hey, this is what we want to see. This is what our pastor wants.
That's good. What's up? I know you're watching this video. I want you to like, comment, subscribe. I know you hear everybody say that, but please, what that does is that lets me know you like it, you hear it, you want to share it. So subscribe, like, and go be great. All right, guys. All right, let's let's continue. Yeah, if you're a media director, you have to know what your pastors want. What do they want to see? Hey, pastor, can I get some time with you and get your heart on the media team? What do you feel, right? So, what do you do as a leader when you hit kind of plateaus in your ministry? When you hit like a middle point, like, man, we're not doing bad, but we're not doing good. What do you personally do to break that and to step into a new wave of creativity or whatever? What do you do as a leader?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing is staying in prayer. You gotta lock into prayer and ask God, like, kind of like what do we see in the team? And again, reevaluation. You got to see where the team is at, checking the pulse. If people are down, if they're not excited when they come. I remember one of the biggest things was like I would tell the team captains, because we were able to establish team captains for Thursday and team captains for Sunday. I'm like, when you come into the media room, don't just go down like the to-do list of what we're doing, but greet people, talk to people. I remember I would model it at first. So every Sunday when people would come in, I would gather everybody and I'd be like, oh, what'd you have for breakfast? And then we'd all just go around like, oh, I had, bacon, I had eggs. Oh, I had nothing. And I'd be like, what? You had nothing? Kind of just, being friendly, talking to people, creating an atmosphere. Because I don't want people to come in and just feel like, oh, this is just a job. This is just a duty. This is just something I do on Sundays, But, being personal with people, talking to people. So creating that atmosphere and that kind of like bond with everyone, it helps project us forward. Instead of just staying like in a plateau, we're not excited, we don't know what to do. It's kind of just checking the pulse.
I like that. At the end of the day, right, everybody's a volunteer for the most part. We're all volunteering to do ministry. We're all volunteering to be a part of something. At the end of the day, we're volunteers.
Yep.
So how do you, as a leader, knowing that you're working with a group of volunteers, how do you still pull excellence out of them and commitment out of them, knowing they're volunteers? Like, what are some things you do to show them, hey, bring more out? We need to bring more out of this. Come on, let's do it. What do you do?
I think when it comes to, again, like thinking like everyone's a volunteer, it's not, I guess, putting so much pressure on them at first. It's kind of like, if they're only able to give 30%, I'm grateful for that 30%. I take that 30%, we work with that 30%, and they know I'm not like just using them in a sense, like, oh, I just, I need you to get this done. And it's like, no, I value what you're putting in, and by doing that, they can see like, oh, this guy cares about me, he's not just using me. And then they just automatically like, you know what, I'm gonna do more. Let me give more. Let me learn something.
I like that. How do you create identity in your team where they feel like ownership? Like, this is my team right here. I love this. I'm not just, like you said, I'm not just a volunteer. But how do you create a culture where they can rep the media team? Like, hey, we're a part of this team, man. This is what I'm about. I like this. How do you create that identity of your ministry? Yeah,
I think one of the simplest ways, or even something that you taught me too with the high school ministry, was just brand the team. Let's get some T-shirts made. So we made T-shirts. I created like I think 4 initial designs, and I sent them to them like, hey, which one do you guys like? And they all voted on one, and then I put that on a T-shirt. And then I printed all of them, and then I brought them to the team, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna wear these every Sunday. And then they had their T-shirts. We printed lanyards. Another thing was like I printed a large banner of the team and like how to join the team.
Oh yeah.
So we kind of just saw it. We would see it like, oh, that's us. We're on the banner. So it's creating like a team. Like we know like, oh, this is the team.
That's good. We were talking about this the other day. Just so you guys know, we're bouncing left and right, up and down with just different things. These are just on the spot nuggets, on the spot insights. There's no like timeline. If you have questions, those of you that are viewing, comment. Let us know, hey, we want to hear a little bit more about this because we'll do another one. Or what are you doing this? And we can always contact you or reach out to you. But comment. Let us know what's going on because we want to make sure you're locked in. So one of the things that I've learned when it comes to leadership is you're always the one kind of carrying the extra weight, right? Doing more than usual because you're the leader. That's what it takes. But how do you, because now you said you went from 5, now you have 2 team captains?
Yep, 2.
So explain really quick, a team captain, and then tell me how do you identify what a team captain is?
Yeah, so basically we have 2 team captains. So I have one guy over Thursday nights, our midweek service.
And he just oversees the whole thing?
He just oversees the whole thing. So the team captain makes sure he goes early, of course, make sure everything's turned on, make sure the team is on time, make sure everyone's in their areas, connects with the service coordinator and make sure that they have, every new flyer, videos, the flow of service. So that's the kind of their role, and then the same for Sunday. We have another guy who's over just Sundays, and they do the same thing to make sure Sundays are on point.
And then how did you identify, because I know you got a big team, but like you said, some people can get 30%, some can get 50%. How do you identify, like, hey, this guy's a potential leader that can, oversee a team, or he can oversee an event? How do you identify the qualities of someone that can be an overseer? Yeah,
so at first, one of the things is, of course, you have your team, and then you kind of see who's kind of giving a little more, who's giving a little extra, who's sharing some concern, like, hey, do you remember about this? They kind of, they remember with you. And with that person, I guess I just added a little bit more weight to see how they would handle that. Like, hey, can you take care of this event? So say we have our Christmas event, can you make sure, we have a few extra camera guys and see if they follow through with that, or if they have any problems, do they ask questions? So once they take that, then I'm like, okay, let's try it out. Let's see, let's put them over one Thursday service and see how they do.
I like that. And then
if they do it and they like it, then all right, let's go.
That's cool. I like that. So there was a season where, I stepped in for a small season, but I kind of was just stepping in as like someone to help get momentum or bring fresh eyes or bring, just a fresh perspective, and I'm one of the ministers on the team, one of the leaders at the church. What did that do for you? Obviously, you're the main leader, and then here comes Brian. Hey, honestly, like, explain that. Is there seasons where you feel like you need that? Maybe someone in their ministry, they need something like that, or need something like that, or like, what did that do? What did that season do for you?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is I had to remain open. Like, obviously, it's happening for a reason. It's not just here comes Brian, but it was let's bring in a fresh pair of eyes, like you said. Let's see what other things we can do. And by you stepping in, I think one of the biggest things, again, it was like, I don't want to just maintain the ministry and I'm happy with my 15, happy with my 20. It's like, how can we step out of just maintaining and how can we create? And I think that's what that did. It was like, I don't want to just maintain service because it's Thursday's good, Sunday's good, our youth services are good. It's like, but how can we step out of that and now we can begin to create short films, podcasts, doing live streams with certain special guests. So that's really what it did. Is it opened my eyes to like creativity.
That's cool. Shout out to Brian. Really quick, I was thinking about something when you were talking right now. You said something. This is just a funny thing, but what is your thoughts when because the church, you got a big church, right? How do you handle when people got an opinion for everything? Hey, I noticed this flyer or this color. You should do this. How about this? Like, you get some people mean well, but how do you handle all the extra opinions? It's like, oh, okay, like, you ever face that?
I have, and I wouldn't dismiss it, but I'd be like, okay, I'll take it into consideration. And then so we use this app. It's called Slack. And I have the whole team on there. There's separate channels where you can separate everything. Like, there's general, flyers. And I created one for requests. So specifically for requests, And so whenever someone tells me something, I just throw it in that group chat. So I can go back and look at it and be like, I'm not going to completely dismiss them because they're bringing a concern. They're looking at something and I'm like, maybe they're onto something. I don't want to completely say, you don't know what you're talking about.
You're just nagging. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. Speaking of something, you made me think of something. Requests. So something we do in our church is we do media requests, right? Because there's a ton of ministries in the church: children's, worship, usher, greeter, this, that, cafe, and everybody needs some type of flyer, some type of visual. So do you remember the moment when we established media requests? Tell us about it and what it did.
Yeah, okay. So I remember, like you said, we have a bunch of ministries, people, V groups, Bible studies, like people need stuff, they need flyers, they need videos. And so people would text me. They'd be like, hey, Jonathan, I need this flyer. And I'd be like, okay. And then I'd forget about it. 3 weeks would go by and they'd be like, hey, where's my flyer? And I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
dang it. But it's because we've gotten so many texts and they're like, hey, I need this,
Yeah.
I need this. Our pastor's like, hey, we need this. And I'm like, okay. And certain stuff would get done and certain stuff wouldn't get done. So I'm like, this is not working. I'm like, we need a system. We need something. And I was like, well, there's flyer requests. You can request a flyer. So then I went on the website and I created a form and I'm like, this is flyer request. So you can go on there, request a flyer, give us minimum of 2 weeks notice,
Yes.
because they would come and be like, hey, I need this for right now. And I'm like, all right.
Right.
So creating that, putting it on the website, and then letting all the leaders know, like, hey, we have a request now. You can go on there, submit a request, and we'll help you out.
That was a game changer, guys, because the media team will get bombarded left and right, up and down. Hey, we need this, we need that. And we get it. Everyone needs stuff. But it would just become like a chaos for the media team. And especially if only like 3 or 4 people knew how to do flyers.
Yeah.
People have full-time jobs. It just got crazy. But going back to being the relationship with your pastors, because you were able to share the concern with your pastor. Hey, pastor, look, man, one of the challenges is we're getting bombarded left and right.
Yeah.
And so pastors and Sister Janine, our pastors, they were able to step in and share with the leaders at different meetings and stuff and say, hey, guys, the new standard is this. You got to put in the media request. They help bring that. They helped enforce it. You got to put in the media request, give 2 weeks notice. If it's last minute, we can't do it. Right? And what it did is it brought organization a lot more to that area. And how important are systems? How important are systems in your ministry, like apps, communication systems, schedules? How important is that?
I think that's honestly one of the biggest things, because if you don't even have that, then people don't know when to show up. They don't know what events are coming up. They don't know what's the flow of service, the order, the announcements, what's the agenda. So one of the biggest things is at the beginning of the month is we make sure we have the schedule set. So every month we rotate people around. Like, this person's gonna now create the flyers for the month, or this person is gonna make the videos. And so creating a system allows people to see what's going on, because if not, they're just blind. They're kind of just wondering, always asking, like, hey, what's going on? But creating a system of like how to do things. This is step 1, this is step 2, this is the flow of service. And it really just helps, honestly, to keep everything on track. Yeah,
that's important. You got to have systems in your ministry. If not, then everything is chaotic. I noticed one thing you kind of do with the team is you give, sometimes, not all the time, but I think you do it pretty often, is you like bring snacks, you bring food.
Yeah.
Sunday mornings, coffee. Tell me, why do you do that?
So I think it just brings it just gels the team together even more, and they look forward to it. I remember we started off, me and my wife started off with coffee. Like, let's bring our coffee pot. You know? So we would bring our coffee pot, some creamer, cups, and we would set it right there in the media booth, and people would come like, oh, what, there's coffee? And they would get coffee, So we did that for a while, and then Mondo, shout out to Mondo, he came and he was team captain for a while for Sundays, and he was like, I'm gonna step it up, I'm gonna bring some pizzas. So every Sunday he would bring pizzas, and everyone's like, dude, there's pizza. Like, but it kind of just brings the team together, and they feel like, dude, this is tight. Like, I like being a part. I get fed.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that. So one thing we did a while ago, and we tried it, just so you know, guys, doing ministry, building a ministry is a lot of trial and error. Trial and error. Trying doesn't work, okay, you redo it, right? It's a lot of that, right? One thing we tried, and it was working for a season, it was to try to raise up media reps. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so what we did with media reps is, because like we said, we had the ushers, we had the Bible studies, we had the worship, we had this, that ministry. And so what we said, you know what? Why don't we pick one person from every single ministry and make them a media rep? And what that, they don't have to be on the media team. They're just a representative on behalf of their ministry. They're the bridge to the media team from their ministry. And what that did is that helped. And we also offered, hey, and we'll teach you how to do flyers. And there were seasons where we had them together. They were learning how to do flyers. Actually, it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
A lot of those media reps, they're doing flyers for their Bible study now. Yeah. They do flyers for the Tuesdays. They make the announcement cards. They do the TVs. And that was a byproduct of having media reps. And so if you're feeling bombarded, throw it out to the church. Hey, why don't we have somebody represent every ministry, and they're that bridge to us, so we can make sure they get what they need. Yeah,
definitely. Right? That for sure was a game changer, because, again, in the beginning, it was everyone coming like, hey, I need this flyer. Hey, I need this for my V group. I need this, for the cafe. And I think either you came up with it or we both kind of just did it together. We're like, what if we just get one person? you know. And then so what we did is we created a night where we would do a training and kind of I was like, just send someone. I would tell everyone, like, just send someone. They don't have to know nothing. They don't need the skill, right? Just bring them and we'll teach them.
Yeah.
And now you can see that our kids ministry, they
yeah.
make all their
stuff.
Yeah,
there's they function on their own. They're solid.
They're beasts, you know. And then we have our cafe. So this just recently happened. They now make their own flyers. They can upload them, no problems, right? Our Bible studies, they have a people that make their own flyers. They can make announcements and everything. So honestly, that was a game changer.
Yep. And then one of the main things, if you're going to try that, the main thing you have to teach your media reps is the image.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I know maybe you're using Canva or you're using other stuff, which is perfectly fine. Just make sure the image looks quality. It looks the same as our church, because then you don't want things out there looking completely off. And that was one of the main purposes of having media reps and having those trainings, because we were able to teach the image, the importance, and the impact. And man, some of our V groups, their media team is amazing, and it's just their crew, and they're excited to make stuff, and that's a byproduct of the media reps. Try that; it's a game changer. So I see you wrote some stuff down. I don't know if you want to share it. We're kind of coming towards the landing shortly, but what do you?
So just a couple of things that I wrote down, like when it comes to creativity, and this is something that I saw I thought was really cool. So creativity reflects the nature of God, right? Another one is creativity deepens your spiritual connection. Another one is creativity expresses worship. And then also creativity brings the Bible to life. So one of the biggest things that I tell our team is, like, you're not just a person that's doing stuff, right? You're not just an employee, or you're not just the person handling the lyrics. I'm like, you work hand in hand with our pastor. Like, you help our pastor minister behind the pulpit by being on point, you know, having the lyrics up, you know, having the lights on point, you know, not too distracting on the LED, you know, but impactful. And same when we post, like, you know, you're helping spread the gospel, you know. So creativity, I always tell them, like, if you're stuck on creativity, I'm like, just look at this stuff, you know, get a Pinterest board, go on there. I love Pinterest. I have my own Pinterest board right there, and I share it with everyone. I'm like, if you're stuck, just look at this. And then, you know, even myself, I need a refresher. I go on there and I see, like, what other stuff can I look at?
That's good. I see you wrote a scripture too. What's that? Proverbs?
Yeah, so Proverbs 22:29, this is my favorite scripture. It says, do you see a man who excels in his work? He will stand before kings. And I really took that scripture to heart, because when I first started, I didn't know nothing about nothing, you know. And being a part of the media ministry, it allowed me to explore, you know, the media realm, you know, marketing, you know. So doing this inside the church, I was able to take that and apply it to, I guess, real life, like my job, career. And I've been able to do a lot of cool stuff. I've been able to create, like, posters for the Silver Knights inside their stadium.
Hey,
so posters are up there, right? I've been able to I've been able to create billboards and see them on, like, around the city.
Wow.
So it's a scripture that I love. It's just like, excel in your work, and God will place you before, you know, people that you would have never thought you'd be in front of.
Dang. So the gift started in the church, and then now that caused you to explore and do many things, and that's really cool. Listen, guys, we just want to share this. These are basic things that has helped our media ministry grow. If you're right there by yourself and you're swinging your sword and you're trying to motivate people, just pray and say, God, give me a fresh creativity, give me a fresh spirit, open my eyes, open my heart. And one thing I want to say is, serve the people in your ministry. You know, value what they value, care about what they care about. Be concerned about what's concerned about them. They're not there just to show up, do a duty, and leave. That's a soul. Yeah, they're saved, they're already in church, but still, like, hey, how's your family? How's their birthdays? Right? If you're the leader, man, you should be one of the main ones trying your best to get them a birthday gift. Why? Because I'm your leader. I'm your overseer in this ministry. Here's a gift, man. I love you. God bless you. Happy birthday. Little things like that really touches people. And that's how you build a ministry where people want to be a part of. And I don't know if you have any final things you want to share, anything you want to touch on, and then we'll kind of wrap it up.
Oh, yeah, I think everything you hit on was on point. It's like, you got to care about people. And I think that's one of the coolest things that my wife is really good at. She'll remember birthdays, and she'll go, we created another group chat in Slack, and we're like, everybody send your birthdays. And then so she'll remember, and then she'll bring them Dutch Bros on their birthday.
That's cool.
Know? And then just a little final thing is, you know, using your creativity to lead others to Jesus. That's the main thing I always tell everyone, is like, you're using your creativity to lead someone to Jesus. You know?
I love that. Last thing, I just thought about this and we'll be done. building a media ministry. What are your must-have apps? Must-have.
Okay, of course, Adobe Creative Cloud. You need Photoshop, you need Premiere Pro, you need Illustrator, and I guess on the go, Canva's really good. They stepped up their game. Adobe almost bought them, but they didn't buy them. So, someone else bought them. But Canva's on the rise. They're a good competitor as well. And I mean, those are the main ones.
What's a good communication app?
Oh, Slack. I love Slack.
Yeah.
Slack is very easy. But you can also use GroupMe or the Band app.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. We tried a bunch of apps. We tried Asana.
We used to use Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger. Even just group chats on iMessage. But it's kind of just finding what works for you. And I thought Slack was like the best one that worked for us.
That's good. Well, there you have it, guys. That was building a ministry, a media ministry. Jonathan and the team, they took it from 5 to 30 strong. One day we're gonna have 100 people on the media team. Come on now. We're doing movies. And this is just the beginning. Like I said, comment below. Let us know what you thought, what you feel, any questions. We'll do a part 2. And other than that, go be great. Dream again. You want to say anything?
Nope. Good.
God bless you guys. We're out.